I didn't have an apartment yet when I bought a washing machine. It was the first thing I bought at the moment I knew I was going to get an apartment. And for the longest time, I thought I bought it because I hated washing clothes. But now, when I look at it, that wasn't the reason why I bought it at all. Hi guys, welcome back to Unbecoming 30. This is a series where I'm documenting, the conversations, the lessons, the unlearnings that is shaping me as I go into my 30s. Today's story started with a washing machine, but I promise you, it is not about anything that has to do with laundry at all. Sometimes I think adulthood is very funny, right? Because there are things you do that makes perfect sense, right? Until years later, in the line when you suddenly realize that, oh, that's where that came from. Like, that's the reason why I did that. I mean, that was me. Growing up, I washed clothes, so much that, my goodness, not just my clothes, right? My siblings' clothes, sometimes my mom's clothes. Being a firstborn meant responsibility, like early responsibility. And honestly, I don't even think I questioned it then. It was just the reality of my life. It was just what needed to be done, right? So I did. Weeks after weeks, pile of clothes after pile of clothes. Like, you can't even begin to imagine the I became very good at it. Like, I didn't enjoy washing clothes, of course I didn't, but I had no choice. That was my responsibility. Then I grew up, right? I finished uni, I started working, I stayed with family for a bit. Life wasn't luxurious at first. There was a period, that when I was staying with family, I was still washing clothes with my hands. Not because I wanted to. I just had to, like, I just had to wash my clothes. I remember carrying buckets downstairs to get water, standing, washing, bending, rinsing. It was a lot, carrying the wet clothes to go and dry. It was exhausting. I mean, it was traumatic. It was my life. So a few years later, I finally decided I needed to get my own apartment, right? I had not even gotten a place. I had not signed agreement. I was still out hunting. Then just one day, Jumia announced a sale. We're having sales on Jumia. Now, most people would go to sales to buy, some things like microwave, television, maybe, mattress or something. But do you know what I bought? I bought a washing machine. I bought a freaking washing machine without thinking twice. I had it delivered to my brother's house because, like I said, I didn't have my place yet. I was still searching, but I bought it. I freaking bought a washing machine. Looking back now, that sounds absolutely crazy. Imagine owning a washing machine without owning an apartment. Yeah. But here's what I have realized. I wasn't, you know, buying the washing machine. I was buying relief. I was buying a promise I made years earlier to my younger version. When I quietly made that decision, she said, one day I will never wash clothes with my hands again. And when I finally had the money, I kept that promise. Right. Do you know what's even interesting? Since that day, up until as I speak right now, I have never washed clothes with my hands. I mean, not because I am incapable, trust me, I'm well trained, but because I made a promise to a little girl who was very tired, And lately, I have been wondering how many of us adults do our adult decision really have to do with conversation we had with our younger self, Maybe we spend money so much money on food because of we grew up hungry. Maybe that's why someone buys things they don't need because growing up they have it. Maybe that's why someone refused to ask anybody for help because of the disappointment they remembered when they were younger. Maybe that's why some people work so hard until exhaustion because they promise themselves that I will never be broke again. you know uh, Sometimes we are not responding to our present, right? Yeah. And here's where this story actually changed me, where it's, the turning point for me. For a long time, I used to think healing looks like fixing the past. But now I'm not so sure. I think healing also looks like becoming aware of the promises you have been unconsciously trying to keep because awareness changes a lot of things. When you become aware, you can finally ask yourself, is this still serving me? Very important. Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes, the little girl really did deserve the washing machine, and I'm glad she got it. Yes, I'm glad she did. But sometimes we realize we have been carrying fears or habits, spending control that belong to a season we had left behind. One of the most beautiful things about growing older is that you finally get to meet your younger self, the younger version of yourself. Maybe not physically, definitely, but emotionally, you begin to understand that you stop judging her, you stop being angry with her, you stop asking why was I like that. Yes, instead you start asking questions like, yeah, I understand now. I've got you. You start saying things like, I've got you. I understand now. If I could go back and speak to that little girl standing over the bucket of clothes, I would tell her something very simple. I would say, you won't be here forever. I mean, one day you will have a big washing machine. You will own your own apartment. You will have peace. You will have your space. And one day you realize that you weren't just watching clothes. You were learning resilience, and maybe that's what this episode is really about, right? Not the washing machine, not laundry, not even about childhood. Maybe it's about recognizing the quiet promises we have made to ourselves and deciding which one are we meant to keep and which one are we allowed to go, right? But thank you for spending this chapter with me. I'll see you in the next chapter of Becoming 30. Take care. Bye.